Everybody eats. Everybody eats.
I ain't eating. You ain't eating? What you mean you ain't eating? You ain't making this paper, man? Everybody eat. I gotta eat, man.
You are listening to the Everybody Eats podcast. Now for your host, Mr. AJ Simmons.
Good morning, AJ Simmons here. Everybody Eats podcast, episode number 4. We have a good one for you this morning, because we always got good ones for you. But happy Monday morning to y'all. I hope y'all woke, ready to roll, get some productive things done this week, and start knocking out these goals, okay? Before I get into it, let me do a quick announcement. So basically, I know y'all might be like, wait a minute, I thought you said you were going live going forward. So this is what I decided to do. I'm going to keep the morning podcast going every morning, 7 a.m. Let y'all get rolling, waking up. And then throughout the day, sometime during the day, probably around lunchtime, you can expect a live video from me each day. So you'll get 2 videos a day now. All right. And then for the people in my mastermind group, they're going to get even more. Okay. So make sure you join that. All right. Now let's get into this thing. Okay. Shout out to Mr. Abraham Chavez for requesting that I do this topic. Okay. So we're going to talk about partnerships for your cleaning business. Okay, because that's what he wanted to talk about, and I'll probably talk about partnerships in general a little bit, but just for the cleaning business in specific because he asked for that. So let's get into it. So basically what he was saying was he has an investor, and his investor is basically going to front all of the cash to get him started, get him rolling with his cleaning company, and they're going to split the profit 50-50. Okay, so he's planning on keeping 100% ownership and equity in the company, but the investor is still going to take just 50% of the profits of the company. All right. Now, off top, I think that this is actually a pretty good idea. It's similar to how I run my company now with my brother, basically doing the sweat equity portion of the company and me doing the financials and actually growing the company. Okay, so I don't work in the company anymore. I work on the company, and my brother, he kind of works in the company. But I also give him some equity. Okay, so let's talk about a few things first that actually come into question when I look at this. Okay, so the first thing is this: if this investor has no equity in the company, for how long are they supposed to receive 50% of the profits? Okay, because there's going to come a time where, I don't know, maybe 2 years down the line, and you're going to say, hey, I'm working. And yeah, he invested 20 grand or however much. I don't know how much he invested. But yeah, he invested 20 grand for me. But hey, I'm doing 200,000 in business now, and I'm the one that's running everything. All he did was put in the money initially to get me started, and then he might have footed the bill for like some reinvesting there. But for the most part, you might, and you may not, but you might start to feel like, you know what, I don't need him anymore because I'm making so much money I can reinvest in myself. I don't need his money anymore. Okay, so how do we stop this? Okay, so what you want to look at is, for how long are you paying him 50%? So maybe what you might want to do is structure it as a loan where he fronts you the amount of money that you need, and then you repay him in a form of profits of 50% over X amount of time until that money is recouped. And then what can happen is, also throughout the time as you're growing, if you need his money for reinvesting or anything like that, you just add that to the back of the loan, and either y'all can increase the monthly payments or extend the terms of the loan. Okay, so that's what I would do, because you're saying that you don't want to give up equity. And so at this point, so what you really have to do is figure out, so for how long are you paying this guy 50%? Because you can't say for the life of the business, because if that's the case, then he might as well be 50% owner if he's not going anywhere. Okay, so that's the number one thing I would look at is, okay, if you're not giving up ownership, how are we going to create an exit strategy for this investor? Okay, that's number one. And you got to remember, you can't just repay him his money, because he needs some something to gain from this as well. So you have to figure out what's a fair interest rate to pay him back. Now that's just an option. You know what I mean? You might not want to do it like that. Another option is give up some equity. Okay, so I'll give you an example of what I do with my company. See, with mine, I actually started the company. Okay, and I built it up through sweat equity, and then over time, now I'm the one with the financial backing, and I let my brother in, who will work through sweat equity. So what happened was, I said, you know what? I'm going to be the one footing the bill every time we acquire a new account from the franchise, because being there with I'm with the franchise, it costs me every time I accept an account from them. I have to pay a finder's fee. So every time we find a new account, I pay for it out of pocket. Okay, and he pays for it through sweat equity by cleaning it for us until we can get somebody else in there to clean it. And then also he has to manage the actual personnel there. Okay, so I decided that, you know what, with the amount of work that he's going to have to do, and being that I've been there, so I know what it's like, I should offer him a percentage of the equity in the company. And then also what I do in order to pay him is I give him 10% of each additional account revenue that we get. So every time I get a new $1,000 account, he gets 100% off top just for managing that account. Not for cleaning it. He won't be cleaning, but he'll manage it. Okay, so he kind of has, so I give him that ownership to where he's making money off of the business the way that I am, in the terms of like royalties or dividends rather. But at the same time, he has to go through some sweat equity, because he has to cover these accounts as we get them. Okay, until we can get them filled properly, or until we get our system or our business big enough to where it'll be we have employees just to accept them and start cleaning them as soon as we get them. Okay, so but overall, I think the strategy is good. I think that this can work, doing 50-50 profit split. That sounds fine to me, especially if he's the one putting up all the money. Okay, because in the beginning he probably has more risk than you do, even though you'll be doing all the work. He's the one who stands the chance for taking a loss. You know, because what if you up and quit and decide, you know what, I don't like this no more, I don't want to do this, I want to go into something else now. Well, this guy just lost whatever amount of money he invested in. You see what I'm saying? So he, in the beginning, he stands the bigger risk, and you control all of the equity. Okay, so those are some things I would consider with this partnership. Another thing that I like to point out also is something that I was teaching my brother, which is ultimately you want your goal to be to make the business as passive as possible for you as it is for the investor. So like right now, my business is 100% passive for me, but for my brother, he actually has to physically work. And so as we get new accounts, like I said, he cleans them until we get employees to cover it. But a lot of times he ends up just keeping the new account and cleaning it himself, because it'll pay him more to just accept the wage for the account than it would to accept the 10% that I pay him to manage the account. So sometimes he likes to hold on to them longer so that he can actually make more money. But what I was explaining to him, and what you should also implement, is your goal is to manage, and that's it. You want to stop being out and being in the field so much, and stop trying to chase the quick dollar, because yes, in the short term, if you clean it yourself, you'll make more money. But in the long term, if you get people in there and you just take a smaller percentage, but you can do more quantity of account, because you can cover more ground if what your business can acquire isn't based around how much you personally can clean. Okay, so what you should be doing is trying to construct a team and put into place, so that way all you can be doing is managing. Okay, and then like I said, the main thing though, the most important thing in this whole partnership is trying to figure out how we're going to get rid of this guy if he's not an owner. Okay, because you said you're going to keep 100% equity. So if he's not an owner, how are we getting rid of him and when? Okay, so maybe do it as a loan, or maybe give up some equity with the deal, but he'll have to finance all of the reinvesting, whether you need equipment, whether you need whatever. But that way you might have to give up a lot more equity though. So It just all depends on how you would do it, but I think my biggest recommendation is draw up a contract, some type of promissory note, and make it a loan over a certain amount of terms, and make sure you go over everything, okay? There's websites out there where you can actually just construct a contract yourself. I think not LegalZoom, there's one out there, I forgot the name, but I just used it to create a contract myself. But anyway, there's contracts, there's resources out there for you to create a nice contract where you guys can come up with a term and figure out how you want to structure this. But that's my overall advice on this. Just kind of structure this as a loan, create an exit strategy for your investor, so that way you can still retain your 100% ownership over time, get rid of them, and take more money home for yourself. Because again, 50% in this business won't translate to a lot of money, okay? Because the margins are not, this is an internet business, okay? So the margins aren't like extraordinary in the cleaning industry. However, they are there. You know what I mean? You can take home about 30% of the revenue if you on the high end, okay? On the low end, you can see as low as 10% returns, okay? So if you're taking 50% of a 10% return, you'll probably feel like a slave, okay? It's working and managing so much ground, you know what I mean? So just something to consider, all right? But you definitely want to figure out how you're going to get rid of this guy as fast as possible, because the margins aren't astronomical in the cleaning industry, okay? So, and that's for any partnership, okay? If you're going to have an investor, just figure out, all right, how and when are we getting rid of this investor? Will they own equity? How much? And so on, okay? So that's my advice on that. Thank y'all so much for waking up with me this morning. I hope y'all enjoyed this show. I'll be back later today with a live video, and you can ask your questions then. Also leave comments at the bottom of this video so I know how to address you guys later when I go live, all right? So thank y'all for waking up with me. This is the Everybody Eats podcast. I'm AJ Simmons, and I look forward to talking to y'all. And by the way, make sure you follow me on my social media at AJ Simmons Online, and check out ajsimmonsonline.com for all of your entrepreneurial needs, especially if you're in the cleaning industry, okay? And join the mastermind group, Everybody Eats Mastermind Group. All right, so thank y'all. Real quick, I want to tell you, you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time around. So why not join a mastermind group full of like-minded people who can help you in your entrepreneurship journey? I created a Facebook group where we have exclusive access to all sorts of things. I'm talking about live Q&A videos with me every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. You can ask me whatever you want live on the spot. Then while you in the group, you with other entrepreneurs, you got that network, you building with each other. Then the third thing that I'm also offering is instant access to me. And the fourth thing is, which is probably the most important thing, is you have instant downloads, okay? Instant downloads to anything that I put in my store, any type of e-course, any type of video that I sell on YouTube or on my site, any type of the starter kit, the Clean the Biz starter kit that everybody wants, my ebook, Is It a Scam? The Truth About Commercial Cleaning Franchises, all of that and anything that I release in the future, as long as you in this mastermind group, you can download it instantly, no extra charge, okay? So all of that, not to mention the daily motivational uploads in that group, okay? So make sure you join the group. It's only $97 to get started. That's the initial fee. And the reason why it's $97 is so that'll prevent you from joining, downloading all of my content, and then leaving, okay? Thank y'all. I just wanted to tell you that real quick. If you're interested in that, the link is below this video. Click on that and go to and join that mastermind now, y'all. Thank y'all.